Hi everyone, welcome to Teed Up. Cheers. I'm just got in from work, so sorry about the attire. It's been a late one. It's nearly 8 o'clock at night here in the UK. We're hours away now from, for me, the start of the NBA season for the Orlando Magic. This video, therefore, is about the Orlando Magic. It's a season preview, what's going on with my favorite team, and it'll be the easiest video I'll probably have to do. If you saw the season predictions, I'm predicting the Magic to finish 15th in the Eastern Conference. Hopefully it'll be higher. So the successful season in my eyes would be is if the Orlando Magic can make the play-in tournament or better. If that happens, it has been a beyond expectation phenomenal season for the Magic. Realistically, I'm expecting to see more of player development. I'm expecting to see really who the guys are that the team wants to build around going forward. I feel as though the messages that have came out of the Magic since the rebuild and during the off season are more along the lines of this is a process. I think the hiring of new Magic coach Jamahl Mosley is a process. He's got a reputation for player development and player relations. So if you look at shortly after Mosley was hired, one of the first things he did was get Mo Bamba in to do one-to-one practice. There were videos doing the rounds on the internet and social media. Why is this significant to mention? Well, Mo Bamba did not really feature massively, partly due to injuries and partly due to maybe he wasn't in the great graces of Steve Clifford. Now, I don't want to comment on that. I actually liked Steve Clifford as a coach. I felt that Steve Clifford took Orlando via what he did, via his coaching, via his culture, via his expectation into the playoffs after years in the wilderness since the Dwight Howard, Dwightmare as we call it in Orlando circles, which was the rebuild and then the John Hennigan era. Now, by all accounts, Cliff and Bamba maybe didn't get on. Maybe is that too strong? Maybe the Mo Bamba just didn't fit totally into what Cliff wanted. Some of the arguments amongst Magic fans, and it is an area of debate, was about Ken Birch getting minutes ahead of Mo. I think you could also look at and say Mo has had not the best luck with injuries. So maybe this is all kind of worked out well this off season, where there's a new coach, fresh start, and Mo Bamba has had a pre-season. And regardless of that, if you look at the pre-season action that Bamba's featured in, he has been impressive. So the Mo Bamba that the Magic drafted was aiming for this unicorn big man, a guy who could block shots at one end and hit jump shots and threes whilst finishing around the rim still at the other. When the Magic drafted Mo Bamba, very, very thin, slim build. He hadn't filled out, as we would say in the UK. Mo is a lot bigger now. And looking at the pre-season, so what we saw from Mo was a guy who was playing with enthusiasm. That was a hard one. Enthusiasm. A guy who was willing to run the court. There had been questions about Mo doing that before. He was running the court. He looked physically good. He can still finish around the rim, and he was also leading in blocks. So he was getting the blocks. The three-pointing jump shot ability is there. So this could be, when we're looking at players who might break out, could this be Mo Bamba's season? Now, interesting, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw this tonight. We have seen Jamahl Mosley experiment with a lineup of Bamba at centre and Wendell Carter Jr. at power forward to start games. And to be honest, it didn't look bad in pre-season. I felt Wendell Carter Jr. was Orlando's best player in the pre-season. He had certainly increased his range. He's obviously got the contract extension, and if he can get, again, we're talking about injuries, and I think it's going to be a theme of this. If Carter can stay healthy, whether he's at the power forward or the centre, with the contract he's got, his age, he's 22, he is an asset to the Magic, but he was certainly the standout in the pre-season. So from a Magic perspective, I wouldn't be surprised tonight if we saw Wendell Carter Jr. starting at power forward and Mo Bamba at centre. Those are two players who I think there's got to be eyes on this year, Now, as for the rest of the Magic team, the Magic, of course, drafted Jalen Suggs with the 5th pick in the NBA draft. It was a move that was very well received by Magic fans, and he has been described as almost like a franchise changer. I think he will change the culture in Orlando through terms of there will be eyes there. When I say culture, I'm thinking about the media culture. Orlando don't get much national recognition, rightly or wrongly. I feel he will change maybe the media culture perception on the Magic. There is a reason for people to watch games outside of Orlando fans. I also think he will be a culture changer in terms of adding another winner, adding another competitor. So when you look at players now, you've got the likes of Cole Anthony, RJ Hampton, and you can add to that list Jalen Suggs, who undoubtedly are visible on-court competitors. So again, the culture in Orlando, this new culture that Mosley will be trying to instill, I'm sure, I think can only be helped by having guys like Jalen Suggs. As for the outlook for Suggs, the dream for me this season will be for Suggs to win Rookie of the Year. Realistically, I think a stat line for Suggs of something around the 12 points per game, maybe 4 to 5 assists per game, would be a realistically good season. The reason I am saying this is, one, I do think Suggs is going to have to work a little bit on his shot looking at pre-season. That could just be nerves. I think it is there. If you see his final shot for Gonzaga, for example. But I think as the season goes, especially when Markelle Fultz returns to health, the guard rotation at Orlando is going to be somewhat clogged. So if you're looking at minutes, you're going to see Suggs, Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz all competing, wanting that point guard spot. Ideally, I think there will be a way where Suggs could play maybe 1 and 2 alongside those players, but that's going to, I think, as the season goes and we get Fultz back, you might see that might also be a factor. Other stories from Orlando. I've mentioned injuries already. Injuries killed the Magic in the last season. So we lost Jonathan Isaac before the season started. The news is Jonathan Isaac will not be fit to start this season. When will Jonathan Isaac be back? We don't know. That's the truth of it. He's now been out for, I think it's about 14 months since he got his injury. We don't know. Now, Isaac has said he could play. If it was up to him, he would play. Because the Magic are holding him off, 1, it's looking after the player. 2, it's saying to me, development rather than win now is the aim. With no Isaac there to start the season is one of the reasons why I've got this somewhat, I'd say, pessimistic outlook on what the Magic's record will be at the end of the season. Also in injury updates, Markelle Fultz is not fit to start the season. Again, ACL. I am not surprised by this. I hope the Magic give Markelle at the time, and I know they will, given this focus on player development, to get right. Markelle Fultz last season was a real breath of fresh air. He was a player who was exciting to watch. I know he had his problems in Philadelphia. I know there are questions about the jump shot and the shoulder injury. But Fultz, even with the shoulder injury, which he's been working on, and has improved his shot from Philadelphia to come into Orlando, it's still, I'm sure Markelle Fultz will tell you, isn't where it was in college. However, Fultz's ball movement, distribution, the way he runs the floor, he creates problems, and he looked very, very good for the Magic until that injury. So it was soul destroying for that to happen to Markelle. He is not fit. The Magic tonight will also be without Chuma Okeke. Now again, if you haven't watched many Magic games, after the trade in particular, Chuma was a real big feature for the Magic. He was impressive, and he just seemed to have a high basketball IQ. So no Chuma Okeke, who could play at the 4 tonight for Orlando. That's where I would have expected him to start with Isaac out. That's why I think Wendell Carter Jr. will start there. And I hope Chuma gets back soon. He's had no pre-season, but I was mightily impressed with what I saw from Chuma Okeke last season. The Magic also tonight will be without Michael Carter Williams. Again, you could look at that and say that's again pressure on the guard rotation when he does get fit. I would say though that I do think Michael Carter Williams will get time in Orlando in this rotation as a veteran, but also maybe seeing time at the 3. He has that ability. He has that size to play the three. That's possibly where he'll play when he comes back. Etuan Moore, who was also an off-season pickup for the Magic, is ruled out of tonight's game. Other stories around the Magic to watch. Please bear in mind, the Magic did not just draft Jalen Suggs in this draft. Okay, the Magic also brought in Franz Wagner. I'm really interested. I think it could be a slow burn for Wagner. Watching him as he settled a bit during the preseason, I think he does have a high basketball IQ. It looks as though the talk amongst Magic fans, and it's hard to disagree with, is that he might be more of an ultimate role player type. Now, we'll see. I don't want to comment yet. I want to give the guy a chance. I think he's been drafted at 8. He's got potential. He's young, and he's got time to develop in this system. So that is a story to watch. How does Franz Wagner fit in with the Magic story? Player to watch for me, or story to watch, is actually what's coming off the bench for Orlando. Whether Terrence Ross starts or not, I'm not sure. I think you could see Ross start the season at the 3. Ross has obviously been an effective 6th man for Orlando. The Magic, I think, might start him due to injuries. Later in the season, move him back there as more players become available. Terrence Ross, therefore, taking the 3 position, make questions what will happen with the bench rotation. Keep a very close eye on RJ Hampton and Cole Anthony off the bench together as a unit coming into the game. They are energy players, they are young, they're enthusiastic. As I've said before, they're leaders, they bring a culture. When RJ Hampton came to the Magic as what some people would say was a throw-in in the Nuggets trade, I would disagree with that, but a throw-in in the Nuggets trade with Aaron Gordon, he was really putting up some numbers towards the end of the season, getting, I believe it was the Eastern Conference Rookie of the Month in May. Impressive performance, high energy, athletic. The shots, the form looked good for that. He can handle the ball. His speed up the court is phenomenal. So straight away, RJ Hampton, plus he's had a growth spurt. He's about 6 feet 6 inches tall now, that's listed. So can RJ play the 2 and the 3? You know, he was listed as a swing guard. Can he now officially make the 2 guard position, or possibly the 3, his position going forward? Regardless of that, Cole Anthony as well. I liked Cole in his rookie season. I felt Cole was one of the better rookies in the league last season, especially when he came back from his injury. He's an energizer. He is a competitor, and he just needed to slow down a little bit. You know, at times he would make bad decisions, but Cole Anthony's a scorer. We can sit here and discuss how efficient that is. Please, he's a rookie. Okay, so Cole Anthony has come in. I felt he was handed the starting job in Orlando because of injury to Fultz, and I thought he did as a rookie as well as a rookie could do on a team that had the injuries that the Magic had. Cole Anthony, I think, has got a great future in this league, and he's a player I would like to see play for Orlando for a long time. He's got infectious enthusiasm, and I just enjoy watching Cole. He's a great athlete, and again, I think his outside shot seems to have seen some work in the offseason. The guy is a complete workhorse, and he's someone who, for me, I just cannot help but enjoy watching. So Cole and RJ as a bench unit might be a story to watch. As for the others, Jonathan Isaac, I think we need him back. We need him back healthy. I am in agreement with the Magic sitting him. But again, how healthy Jonathan Isaac comes back when he is back properly, I think will dictate a lot about the success of the Orlando Magic going forward. So let's hope tonight the Magic can pull out a win. We start the season in San Antonio. It's 2 teams I think will struggle, but at the end of the day, may the best team win. Go Magic.